The 4x4 Podcast, episode 149, presented by Artemis Overland Hardware. Whether you're going to start a trip to Tierra Del Fuego or simply hitting the forest roads in the Ozarks for the weekend, Artemis Overland Hardware has just what you need. Visit online at artemisoverland.com. That's ARTEMIS overland.com. Or visit their awesome newly expanded showroom in Springfield, Missouri.
You're listening to the 4x4 Podcast, the podcast all about four-wheeling, overlanding, off-road racing, and the outdoor lifestyle. We talk about news, tips and tricks, answer your questions, and interview big and little names in the off-roading world. So whether your rig is busted and you're in the shop wrenching on it, or you're on your way to the trail, join us and we'll keep you plugged in on topics to help you get away. Here are your hosts, Dan, Craig, and Rich.
Well, hello, and actually Craig is suffering some technical difficulties this time, so he's in the background kind of typing some comments and everything. But Rich, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Dan.
Excellent. And we do have our guest on for today is Matt Frick from Camp4Lo, doing Baja tours, hanging out in Baja as we speak. How you doing, Matt?
Great. How you doing?
Excellent. Well, I'm really excited to have you on. So I think we can go ahead and jump into it. The Camp4Lo name is probably, it's been mentioned on the podcast a number of times, going back all the way to the very beginning, because I think you may have been one of the first dozen listeners of the 4x4 podcast. So, from me to you, thanks for being a long-time subscriber. And unfortunately, I have not been able to come down and explore Baja with you, but, before we start talking all of these tours that you've been doing, can you give us some framework? What's your background, and how have you come to be so well known with Baja, Mexico?
Well, I've been traveling down here since I was 17. I co-rode and pitted and chased with a Class 1 racer for years and years and years. And
well, when you were 17, how long ago was that? You don't have to be super specific if you don't want, but
I'm 52 now.
Okay, so that's been a minute.
It's been a minute, yeah. And in 2010 or so, Ron is the guy I rode with for years. He retired and sold everything, and I was trying to figure out a way to get down here and keep exploring down here. And I just came up with this idea. I thought it might be a good idea to ease people's, fears of coming to Baja, because there's definitely that fear. And if you don't know where you're going, it's a big deal to, so we provide everything. We take care of all the details, and the unknown is now not unknown anymore. So you're just going to rest easy and just enjoy the drive.
Yeah, it's one of the things about all the adventures. Like, it is one thing, it's not an adventure until something goes wrong, as the saying goes. But when you're talking about here in the United States or in your own backyard, that's one thing. But if you're going into an area where is, talked about with a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt by the mass media, because in a lot of circles, going to Mexico is absolutely going to get you murdered and killed, or both.
That's a media-driven thing. It really is. The murders that do happen, they are generally 99% of the time cartel guys killing other cartel guys or whatever. They don't mess with the tourists per se, especially in Baja. Is not, it's not Acapulco. It's not. It's a very desolate place. There's not a lot going on. So
yeah, I think that's what makes it so compelling to go explore. Is it's one of the wild places that's right here in, I can say in our backyard as a U.S. citizen. It's right there.
Yep.
So close, but still seems so far and so foreign in a lot of ways.
It's kind of like the Wild West still, which is kind of cool in a way. You can get away with a lot more down here. You can do, you can light fireworks off and not, if you do stupid things and you're careless, you get hurt.
Yeah.
And that's the culture. It's like, if you do something stupid, you might get hurt, but doing stupid things is fun sometimes. So, let's be honest,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just a different different way of life, and it's more rural, definitely more rural, and it's just an awesome place. It really is. It's very rewarding if you're careful and you just I guess it's situational awareness. You should just know your surroundings and just be aware, and but the people are phenomenal. We interact with the local people, and they're just wonderful, wonderful people. And we bring business in. We bring people into the stores and the restaurants, things like that, and they really appreciate that. We really try and meet the local people and do local things with people. And like on our next fiesta, we're gonna have there's a school up north of San Felipe, and we're gonna have people bring supplies to all the kids on the way down.
Yeah.
And so we give back, and that's give and take, and we take a little bit, but we're giving a lot back. So I think it's just a wonderful place to be.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I think you kind of alluded to it at first, is that Baja, it's really such a magical place. It has a way of getting under your skin, and one trip is not enough. Like, ever since I've been down there, I've been looking for any way to get back. My current employer doesn't really care for people going down to visit, but it's a place that I've been trying to get to ever since I left. And then being able to go with somebody like yourself who has that outstanding familiarity with, not just where things are at, but just the inner workings of, hey, these are the quickest ways to get around and to avoid any hassles. Like that goes a long ways. Right.
And we've got trailers and trucks, in Ensenada that so if we have, if there is a problem, we can call for our trailer to be brought down here, and we can get people out of here. We've got a support system that is really good. And, I know where there's welders in almost every town. I know where there's a mechanic. I know where there's tire shops. I know where, so when there's always something, there's always some, when you're wheeling, there's always some kind of an issue, and we've got everything on lock. So that's another reason.
Well,
it's good to come with us.
Let's back up a little bit. Now, if somebody wants to come on, whether it's the Fiesta trip that you have coming up here or any of the other ones, kind of what should they expect? What do they need to be prepared to do? And how's that all work?
Our trips are all inclusive, so we handle all the food, all the logistics, all the accommodation, everything. You just need to show up. We give you an address in north of the border, and we assist you crossing the border.
What all is involved in getting across the border? Because that's
getting across the border. It's pretty easy crossing the border. I mean, there's just a border, and you just cross. but people get scared because they don't know where they're going. As soon as they cross the border, they're just lost.
Right.
Because cities in Mexico are a bit, intense. It's kind of controlled chaos the way people drive, and there's big roundabouts, and there's, the stop signs are different, and the stop lights work a little bit different, and people are very aggressive on the roads, so, and it can be intimidating. So we have a front and a rear car, and we take care of, we just watch everybody. We have radios, we give people radios, and we assist, and I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. So once you get across the border, then what happens? We have
and then
untangled ourselves from the urban sprawl.
Yeah. Usually we like to cross at Tecate, which is a lot easier border crossing, and then we can be on the dirt within about 30 minutes. So we usually take this trail called the Compadre Trail, and it's up in the chaparral, and it goes a little bit higher, and it goes actually through a minor little bit of pine forest, and then it drops down into the desert. And that, that's a 3-hour trip, and then that's when it starts getting real. You're in Baja, you're in the wilds, and you're out of the cities, and just follow us. And we take, depending on which trip we're doing, if we're going to San Felipe, or if we go to Mike's Sky Ranch or Coyote Ranch, whatever, depending on which trip it is. But we just follow, or you just follow us.
That's awesome.
That's it. I mean,
one of the things that we hear from a lot of people is that, their rig isn't quite ready. They've got some other things that they need to do, and typically it's not a maintenance challenge that they're talking about when they say that. They're talking about their project or build isn't to the level that they want it yet. How well built does a vehicle really need to be to go on one of the Camp4Lo tours?
Our trips are mostly pretty simple runs. We don't have a lot of super hard trails because we take a wide variety of rigs. From our minimum is stock 4x4 with better than stock tires. That's the minimum.
That's easy.
Exactly, because most of our trips are more about getting to the destination to see the big views, the big ocean views, or getting to the place where we're going to have a dinner or whatever. It's more of an adventure of a, now we do have a trip that's similar. That's for, you need 35s and you need rear lockers and, it's called the pole line, and that's a whole another trip. That's a specialty trip. It's kind of like an invitational basically, but most of our trips are pretty mellow. You could take, like I said, stock 4-wheel drive up to whatever. And then we do have some challenges along the way. Some of our trails, there are some either ors and there's some hill climbs and, so if you want to try your hand at hill climbing, there it is, we'll assist and, and a lot of times, a couple guys will take it and a couple guys, I'll say, no, you don't want to take that truck up that.
So do you have a variety of routes then that you cater to the types of vehicles? So if you have a group that across the board, everybody's vehicles are a little more built, where there's a little bit more of a challenging route they'll take, or is it pretty much the same route every time?
Oh yeah. If we get a group that has all, super built rigs, I'll change it up and I'll cater to, oh, absolutely. Cool. So
how many people are you able to accommodate at the ranch there?
Our normal trips, I like to see about 6 rigs. That's kind of like the magic number for us, the minimum. We've gone to these Fiesta style trips, twice a year now we're doing them. We're doing one in San Felipe in the fall, and we did one in June here. We had 30 rigs.
Oh, wow.
It was more like Camp4Lo light. It was, here's where we're going to be, meet us down there. But if you want to follow us, this is where we're going to be when we drive down there, and you could follow us. And that was super neat because we met some people in Temecula, and then we met some people in Borrego, and then we met some people in Mexicali. And so by the time we got to the border, we had 20 rigs following us, which was really kind of cool. And then we have it at a campground, and it's just a simple, I did a 3-hour trip, which when you have that many rigs takes 6,
Right.
So we had a pig roast Saturday night, trail run Saturday, pig roast Saturday night, and then went into town and, did some fun stuff in town and then go home on Sunday. And,
Cool.
and
that's awesome.
the price was cheap, it was super cheap. And it was kind of like, I wanted to be able to get a captured audience. We had 75 people at that thing. We had 30 rigs and 75 people. And my goal was to get a captive audience. And when we're done with the trail run and everybody's eating their pig roast and everything else, and I could get them, captive audience and explain to them, oh, this is kind of what we do. We want you to come on a longer trip. Come on a 3-night, 4-day trip. And we'll give you this and this and this much more, and that it's more like a marketing trip. And
Right.
It turned into this, it became really popular and people were really excited. So we're going to do it again. So maybe we're evolving into some sort of different trip, but we've got the sales open for this and we're half sold out already on the next Fiesta. So,
wow.
Yeah.
It sounds like a really good way if somebody's nervous about going to Mexico, or going specifically to Baja, just to kind of get a crash course and really get comfortable with things, having somebody like yourself with all that experience.
Yeah, that's what we did it for. To dispel the rumors and make it easy for people.
That's awesome. So You mentioned the pole line run as one of the more technical challenges with some, more stringent vehicle build things. Can you kind of go into some of the history? Because I've read some of the history about, why that thing exists, and that kind of adds a flavor to exploring. It no longer is just a technical driving challenge. There's a lot of history to it as well.
Yes. In 1942, the Army Corps of Engineers built, we were afraid that the Japanese were going to invade America through Baja. So they constructed a telephone line from San Felipe to Ensenada, and it was top secret, naturally, so that it didn't go along the highway. So they built their own road, and it's called the pole line. And there's still poles today in the ground, and there's still remnants of where they had built bunkers out of rocks and, some kind of place to hang out or whatever. I don't know what they were doing. You can't tell what it is, but there's old sea ration cans still out there because, the desert preserves everything. And
That's true.
The road is, it's depending on the way you look at it, it's awful or it's wonderful, depending on what rig you have.
Yeah.
But it's very technical, and it takes 2 days to get over it. It's like 28 miles or something, and it's a big deal. We do it. We dry camp overnight. We actually cut it a little short, and what we'd like to do is we do a Baja 1000 viewing party, and so we meet in Mexicali and go down, do the pole line, and then come over to the west side and watch the Baja 1000. That's our typical pole line road. So
that's really cool. I would love to be down there to experience any part of the Baja 1000 again. It's such a cool event, and I'm sure all of the races have a similar flavor, but there's just something special about the 1000.
Yep. It's definitely and there's something about the real 1000. They only do the real 1000 every 3 years.
Yeah.
Which is Ensenada to La Paz.
Yep.
And
the Peninsula Run versus
but still,
the Loop.
it's still. Say again.
The Peninsula Run versus the Loop.
Yeah. Because Southern Baja is amazing. It's amazing. I definitely don't get down there enough, and I'd like to start doing some trips that are a little bit longer. I'd love to get somebody to, 6 or 7 people to do a 14-day trip down there, because it's just amazing. The water, the water's turquoise. It's almost like the Caribbean, some of those spots down there, and it's just amazing. And the terrain is beautiful, and the food is, the cuisine changes as you go further south. You get, up northern Baja, you tend to get more chipotle, fire roasted chilies and things like that, because they don't have as much access to refrigeration and fresh. It's more deserty. As you go down south farther, it's more tropical, and they have, the salsas become a lot fresher and different, and it's just neat to watch how the cuisine changes as you go to different regions. Tacos, man.
See, now you're mixing two of my favorite things: off-roading and good food.
And food. That's
probably what makes it such an awesome event.
Yes.
So, how much is somebody? Go ahead.
On almost every trip, we end at this place called Cuatro Casas, and it's in the afternoon. We end up at this bar. It's called the Pirate Bar, and it's south of Cuatro Casas, about 15 miles. And they have the best guacamole in the world. It's amazing guacamole. And we have a margarita and some chips and guacamole, afternoon snack, and then we wheel along the beach up to Cuatro Casas, and then we have more food. The food is definitely the center point of what we do here.
Yeah, I love it. And the fact that it's all provided kind of alleviates some of the challenges. Like if somebody's not super comfortable with their camp kitchen setup or whatever, it's not something they necessarily have to worry about. They can come partake in all the local cuisine. And that's one of the great things about traveling internationally and just traveling in general, I think, is the food.
And when we do camp nights, which I'm going to start adding more camp nights, I've been sent a pretty clear message by most of our customers. They've got all this stuff and they want to use it. So we're going to start adding a lot more camping, which, we like to do about 3 trips a year. We'll do 1 camp night on 3 of them, and it's fun. And we get some local cuisine, and we cook carne asada and chorizo and egg burritos, and all that stuff. But as we add more camp nights, we're going to involve the people, I think, a little bit more.
Yeah.
We might do, like, if we do 3 camp nights, then it would be, if it was all of us on this podcast going on a trip, then I would I'd say, Dan, here's the food. You're up.
Yeah. Bust out the Dutch ovens.
Right. And then I'd cook the next night, and then, we would split it up a little bit, because it's an awful lot of work to cook that much for that many people. And it's so.
Well, you've had some kind of off-roading celebrities come down and try out your adventures. I know one of the ones that I enjoyed watching the most was the Dirt Everyday crew.
Mm-hmm. Fred.
Yeah, Fred and his team there. That was a fun one to watch, and that one's up on YouTube, I think.
It is. Yeah, it's Baja something. The premise of the show was they took the 2 guys from Surfer Magazine, and we were going. Toyota provided a truck for the show, and then they were going to find the epic surf spot. And then comedy ensues. With Fred.
It's one of those things. It just follows them around. The Baja Surf and Turf Adventure. Surf and Turf Adventure.
That's it. Surf. Yeah. And then Jason, Auto Edit Jason. You guys know who he is?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so he was the director of the Dirt Everyday episode. He was here, and he reached out a while back and asked me if he could come on a trip. He said, I had such a good time. I want to go on a trip. And so he came this March, and he did a 30-minute episode. And he brought Chris Miller from Power Stop Brakes. He's the guy that does Trail to SEMA.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 came, and that video is real good too.
Yeah.
It's Auto Edits Jason is his YouTube channel, and
that's fun.
So,
and I guess that
really
also
good time with Jason.
Yeah, and if somebody has any questions, they're like, "Hey, what is it really like on one of the trips?" Maybe they don't necessarily believe what we're saying here. They can watch it and see it on those videos. And after watching that, I don't know how anybody could not want to come down and experience Baja with Camp4Lo.
Man, I tell you, it's not easy. It's really not. I knew it would be a challenge to get people to come, but I didn't realize it would be this much of a challenge.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get people to come. A lot of people that have come are repeat offenders with us. We've had several people have come 2-3 times. I have one guy that's come 4 times.
Do you find the biggest challenge is just convincing people that it's safe to cross the border, or what is it that's hanging people up?
It might be that. I don't know. It's not the money. It can't be the money, because I'm not making any money.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's a little. I mean, it is expensive. It runs about $250 a day. That's about our average cost. But,
okay.
I mean that's everything except your own fuel.
Right.
I was going to say $250 a day is really not that bad. I mean, that's your food,
not.
That's your accommodation. I mean, that's everything.
Right.
So,
right. It's not 4-star. We stay in. I don't like to stay in hotels, because when we stay in hotels, everybody splits up.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing is we get a guy from San Clemente, and we get a guy from, we get guys from all over different walks of life, different occupations, 6 people that don't know each other, and they're thrust into this thing, and by the end of the trip, man, everybody's exchanging Instagrams and Facebooks and emails and texts, and, and I watch them all connect, and it's really, really, really cool, and a lot of them are all still friends, on Facebook now. I watch, they add me on there, and then, I watch them all connect, and, that.
Yeah.
So when we go to a hotel, everybody goes to their own room and just kind of splits, and there's no campfire. I just don't like it. So we like to stay in hostels and ranches and things like that. Like Coyote Ranch is a working cattle ranch way up in the mountains. It's up by Mike's Sky Ranch, and they have these cabanas, and they have wood stoves in them. It's really cool. So in the wintertime, when it's really, really cold up there, they have these nice wood stoves in there, and they feed you family style. So you get there, and they ring the dinner bell, and you go into the big house, and there's these big long picnic tables, and you sit, and they feed you family style, and everybody stays together. And then we go out and have a campfire, and then we go to bed, and we get up in the morning, and we have breakfast again together, and everybody forms these bonds, and then when there's a problem with one of the rigs, there's always something, and we get together, and people get together, and it's really great. It's really, really fulfilling. This is the best job I've ever done. This is by far the best job I've ever done.
Well, I believe it. Absolutely believe it.
It's so fulfilling.
So, assuming everybody that's listening is now sold, how do they go about booking a trip with you?
Camp4Lo.com. Camp4Lo on all the socials. Camp4Lo, not,
Yeah, L-O.
People listening to this would understand 4 would be the number 4 low, I would imagine. So that we're wherever, we're on all the platforms, so you can find us anywhere.
Awesome.
You can even call me. My number's published on the website. Call me, text me, smoke signals, anything.
Yep, and I'll have a link to all of that on the show notes so that there's no doubt. And this is episode 149, so anybody listening, just go to the 4x4podcast.com/149 if you couldn't figure out how to spell 4Lo, just to make it easy.
Right.
But
look at
awesome.
Your shifter.
Yeah, just like it says right there. That's perfect. And you can see some of the pictures there and all the gallery. And I love seeing everything on Instagram, all the stories and all the adventures there. Like right now when I'm looking at the website, you see the write-up from the June event, the Pacific Fun Run. And there is a line of rooftop tents parked on the beach looking over the water there. It's a pretty iconic Baja type of picture.
Man, you guys come down here, as soon as you can. I'm telling you, all 3 of you guys should get together. We could do a 4x4 podcast trip.
I love it.
That'd be a blast.
Yep. Get all the audience that can make it. Get everybody in. We live in a strange time where so many of us want to shop online for equipment designed to get us outside. I get it. Shopping in the comfort of your couch from any time is very appealing. But so much of the equipment that we use for overland travel is really expensive, and it'd be nice to see it up close and explore it a bit before spending some hard-earned money. Artemis Overland Hardware is located in Springfield, Missouri, where you can visit them in person at their new, larger facility even. You can see all the equipment in person, pick it up there, and head straight out for an adventure right from their shop. Artemis Overland Hardware only stocks the very best equipment. Anything you pick up is going to stand the test of time in the harsh environments that you're subjecting them to. At ArtemisOverland.com, you'll find a wide selection of rooftop tents, ground tents from companies like OzTent, 230, Eezi Awn, and iCamper. I just talked to the guys over there. iCamper is now one of the vendors that you can pick up there. You can outfit your kitchen with a SnoMaster Fridge or the Tembo Tusk Skottle, which I love. And now Rich, he's hooked as well. Or a stove from Kovea or a Front Runner. Artemis Overland has a large selection of camp furniture as well as roof racks for a wide range of vehicles. Recovery gear, winches, lights, solar power, dual battery systems, action tracks, GPS units, and much, much more can all be found over at ArtemisOverland.com. That's ARTEMIS Overland.com. Artemis Overland Hardware is also one of the very few approved goose gear installers and Ironman 4x4 dealers located in the central United States. Whether you're going to start a trip to Tierra del Fuego or simply hitting the forest roads or driving through Baja with Matt at Camp4Lo, Artemis Overland Hardware is just what you need. Visit online at ArtemisOverland.com or visit their awesome showroom there in Springfield, Missouri. That's ARTEMIS Overland.com. All right, now let's talk some news. We got a whole bunch of stuff that I put in here, some of it more interesting than others. The one that jumped out to me is, I'm not even trying to pronounce the name of this, or I guess I will, and I'm going to butcher it. It's the 2020 Rezvani tank. Rezvani. Did I butcher that one badly enough?
Anyways, Rezvani.
Rezvani. Anyways, this is a JL Wrangler-based vehicle. So it looks like they took the JL platform and then applied a lot of really cool stuff to it, including the 1,000 horsepower Hellcat engine, and basically turned it into a tank. I think that's why they call it the tank. This is over the top. I'm sure that nobody here in the 4x4 podcast studio or audience is going to be interested in building their vehicle to do this, but it's just interesting. This is the kind of thing that you see that shows up at SEMA, but this one may have not made it. So, and it looks, I don't know, like a JL kind of mashed together with a FJ Cruiser, mashed together with a Star Trek ship.
Yeah.
It's like Batman's truck.
Yeah, I like that there's 3 engine options. You can get a 3-liter EcoDiesel V8, you can get a 6.4 Dodge V8, or you can stick with the stock Wrangler 3.6 liter V6. Could you imagine adding that much weight with the bulletproof windows and bulletproof doors and the bomb-proof skid plating underneath?
Yeah, 0 to 60, maybe, probably not.
Yeah, never.
So
at base model is only 155,000. So
yeah, so if you're spending 155, you can really pinch some pennies and go with that stock engine. But the cool one is the Tank Edition, which starts at $295,000. So that's the one that's getting the 6.4 liter V8 Hellcat 1,000 horsepower engine that's been supercharged. Let's see. Oh, that engine is actually standard on the Tank X trim level, which starts at basically $350,000.
I would expect it.
Yeah. So you're getting 37-inch tires, the 4-inch lift with Fox shocks, all kind of pretty standard stuff. Heavier axles are obviously, but some of the other more interesting things they're talking about is bulletproof glass, explosive protection, the self-sealing gas tank. I could see that being pretty beneficial on a lot of different things.
Yeah.
The night vision and thermal cameras. Not much need for that, but having used that kind of stuff, I'm telling you, it's cool. It's very cool.
And it's only a $35,000 deposit to have them build you one.
There you go.
I don't know.
It takes about 12 weeks. It'll be sitting in your driveway.
Here's something straight out of James Bond. The smoke screen, electrified door handles, gas masks.
Yeah.
And protection from EMPs. What I don't see listed, and I'm kind of disappointed, there's no ejection seat. They kind of fell on that one.
Or a turret for a 50 cal on top.
Yeah. No, like oil slick ejector or something to,
I had plenty of cars in my younger days that came with a smoke screen. So.
Or their own oil slick maker.
Yeah, I drove bugs in the 80s.
Oh, man. Anyways, this one is just kind of a fun one just to see. I'm glad somebody's doing this. I'm probably not going to be buying one anytime soon, but it is kind of cool. All right, so let's go on to the next one. This is a more relevant one. And, Rich, I'm going to let you start off here talking about the Bronco.
The Bronco. Oh, the baby Bronco was spotted testing off-road. This is in autoblog.com. So they've got a heavily camouflaged 2020 Bronco, maybe the Bronco Scout, I think is what they're calling it, maybe.
Not to be confusing or anything, because come on. It's
pretty interesting. I hope the most interesting thing about this is the roof line. It's very. I'm hoping it's camouflaged. I hope that's not actually what it looks like.
Maybe they got like a piece of foam insulation tucked underneath all the.
Yeah. So to picture this, picture a Ford Escape with kind of like a Highline camper top on it that's maybe 4 to 6 inches tall.
Yeah. That sounds about right. But it's definitely not a camper top. It just looks like one.
No, it's not a camper top.
I think, you know what this looks like to me? Is a Freelander. I think they stole this design a little bit from the Land Rover. It does
look similar to a Freelander.
Which, was a smashing success, both in appearance and mechanicals. Not. So I think what the big takeaway is that this is not the Ford Bronco that anybody wants.
Not in this camouflage. I mean, we'll wait and see what it looks like when they cut the camouflage off. But, I mean, you can still get a pretty good feel for body lines and everything through it. So,
yeah,
we'll see.
It's just smaller than, it's baby Bronco, right? So could we just call it a Bronco 2 and be done?
Bronco 3.
Bronco 3, yeah.
2.5.
Yeah.
Hopefully they kind of skip over it. But I don't know. It seems like not. I mean, maybe the front end has some design cues that are camouflage that kind of harkens back to the original Bronco. I think calling it the Bronco Scout is a little bit offensive to most Bronco fans.
And Scout fans.
And Scout fans, yeah. Offend two people all at the same time, or two communities, but whatever. That's an unfortunate one. All right, so I think everybody knows we here at the 4x4 podcast are fans of Ram trucks. It's been mentioned a number of times. There's a couple of them in our garages or driveways. And, of course, we're also fans of the diesel. And so here the 2020 diesel is getting written up. This is an article from jalopnik.com where, Ram has recently invited some media guys out to kind of take a look at it, take a test drive, and they're ready to release some details on the pricing and everything. Now, everybody is still under embargo, so they can't talk about any of the driving characteristics of it. But the 2020 Ram 1500, only available in gas options, so we're talking about the diesel here. The diesel is going to be 36,890 is the base model, which is not bad. That's a pretty good price.
Well, I think it's cheaper than the competitors.
Yeah, it comes in less than everybody, and this is the most modern version of the diesel engine of when you're talking the big three between Chevy, GMC, Ram, and Ford. So
I like the front grille on that thing and the headlights. I think it's sleek. I think it, I'm not a big fan of this gaudy front end trend that we're going through. The Fords, I don't know, I'm getting shot for saying this, but I don't like the looks of the Fords. It's just personal preference, I think this truck looks really nice.
Yep, and I'm sure it drives very nice. The interior from the pictures I've seen is just amazing. There's not going to be any updates, for the diesel engine from everything else, but every time I see the current generation of Ram trucks driving around, it does catch my eye. What I like here is the EcoDiesel is putting out more torque than both of their other competitors, coming in at 480 pound-feet of torque. And we've mentioned that in the past, that it's just going to be kind of a little update. And let's see, the Chevy, little baby Duramax, it's coming in at 20 pound-feet more than the Duramax there. So 260 horsepower, which is less than the Chevys, but it's the torque that everybody goes to the diesel versions for. Anyways, I like it. What I hope kind of gets worked out is the throttle mapping. I think I've mentioned that in the past. So with my EcoDiesel, if you really stomp on the accelerator, there's a little bit of a lag before it comes up. And I don't think it's a turbo thing. I think it's just the electronic mapping of everything. So
but that's an easy fix.
Yeah, everybody that I've talked to says, "Oh, you put a tuner on it and bam, it's fixed." Yeah. Or, the trick that I like is you just hit the tow haul mode button and that kind of changes some of those things.
Does that reset every time you get in the truck?
Yes.
In my Tacoma it did.
Yep, so I got to remember to do that if I'm interested in that. But that is one way to kind of cheat the system, and you kind of get a lighter dip into the throttle, and that benefits the fuel economy a little bit. And I'm still, just driving around town, getting on the highway, it is not uncommon to get 22 miles a gallon with a full-size truck, and better than that, and just cruising on the highway.
You're doing better than me.
Well, I should hope so. The Rebel.
I'm averaging about 12.
Holy moly! I'm almost doubling you then, and at times am. Like,
Wow.
it is not uncommon for me to see 25 to 28, and that's with all-terrain tires and everything, like the KO2s.
I got an 83 Bronco, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't drive my Jeep a whole lot anymore.
12, you say?
I'm just happy when I see double digits in the Jeep. Like, come on, let's be real.
Right.
Oh, well, let's see. Not much feedback here because, we just published another episode extremely recently. We're recording quickly after publishing our last one. But this one is from Frank Aniti on Instagram. I don't have a link to everything that he's talking about, but he said, just listen to episode 147, and you talked about the Ford 8.8, and he found an article online to help find out which gears and if the axle has a limited slip with regards to those Ford 8.8s and everything. And there's a table in this article that is on, now I can't tell, but like I said, I'll link to it. And have you guys seen, when you look at the axle, there's a little tag that's under one of the bolts, typically on the differential cover. Have you seen those?
I think so, yeah.
It's got a bunch of what looks like gobbledygook and random numbers and letters and everything.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
there's actually an article that helps you decode that chart and find out which gears came from the factory on that. You don't have to open it up to see if there's a limited slip or anything. So as you're crawling through the local U-pull part or whatever, the pick and pull junkyard really, you can see what's inside before you ever decide to walk off with something there. So I thought that was pretty helpful.
I mean, all those numbers actually mean something.
Turns out they do. Go figure.
Yes.
So that's a helpful one. So thanks, Frank, for sending that in. And I can't remember, Frank, if I said it in our text back and forth exchange, but if you send me your mailing address, we'll get a sticker out in the mail to you. And that typically goes for everybody that sends us some feedback, just to say thanks for interacting with us on the show. Okay, let's jump to what's in the garage. I know it's just been a few short hours, really, since we talked last. But, Rich, you got anything, any updates?
No, I don't. I worked a 13-hour shift yesterday. I didn't even think about my truck.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll give you that one. Well, I know it has been only a very short time, but, I'm gearing up to go back to work after a lengthy vacation. But, the benefit of my job now is that I can see which weekends are free for the next, well, at least until my next move, whenever that's going to be. So now we're trying to, we kind of feel, Stephanie, my wife, and I, we feel the pressure, we only have so much time left here in Southern California before we go on to who knows what else. So we got to make them all count. So we started listing out what are the things that we absolutely will feel cheated if we don't do. So, Baja, that is very high on the list. The Rubicon is very high on the list as well. I would be really upset if I came and lived in California for 2 years and didn't do the Rubicon. But there's other things like Death Valley's right around the corner. Heard so many great things about that. And the Mojave Road being right here in the backyard and being an equally magical place. Also, Johnson Valley. I got to get out to these places. So,
man, I've not explored, I've been doing this off-road racing thing for, my whole life. But never explored those places. I know Johnson Valley because I know Lucerne. I know Course B, like the back of my hand. I know Barstow very well. I raced a lot out there, but I've never been to Calico. I've never been along the Mojave Road.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Calico is one of the best kept secrets in Southern California. And the fact that it's less than 30 minutes from my house, it's pretty nice. It's just a simple, I'm driving home from the grocery store, which takes 45 minutes to do. Oh, let's go explore this trail now and just go drive around for a little bit.
That's cool.
And that's one of the nice things.
And I have a partner, Andy, Big Limey. and he's the one with the flat black YJ. That thing is like a chopper, man. It's got nothing it doesn't need. You know, it's the raddest rig ever.
Love it.
But yeah, maybe I can get him to. We'll come up there and do some wheeling with you up there.
Absolutely.
You can show us around. He's more of a hardcore wheeler, you know, rock crawler kind of guy. That's his background, and he's a bike guy. He's in the adventure bikes, and
okay.
he's ridden the Baja Divide, which is basically the Baja 1000 but for bicycles.
Good night.
Yeah, I don't subscribe to that.
That sounds like a lot of work.
So, but Andy's super fun. You know, I don't know if you've seen him. He's English, so he's got that accent. So you already like him, you know. And turns out he's a really cool guy too. So, yeah, we'll have to come up there and maybe we can get him to get together, and we'll come up and do some hard wheeling out there.
Yeah, Calico offers as much or as little challenge as you desire. So that's a cool one.
Yeah.
The other thing is that's new is that I've been emailing or going back and forth with a company called Cruz Armor, CRUZ Armor. And when you go over to their website, what they say they are is a paint and lens, like a self-healing film. So it's crystal clear, extremely durable, self-healing surface protection film that is engineered, custom designed, and precision cut to protect the most vulnerable surfaces. And so I've seen them on Instagram, and you know, I go through protective eyewear at a pretty fast rate, just between getting showered with gravel, driving a Humvee with no doors, and just, you know, daily moving around. I just have a way of destroying that stuff. So I sent them a text and said, hey, do you guys provide any of these films for ballistic lenses? And they said no, but they've been looking at expanding that way. And so I said, hey, I've got a couple lenses that I've destroyed in terms of like scratched up and everything, if you want to use them for a prototype. And they totally jumped on that. So I sent them a couple of my scratched up lenses, and they actually did the prototype, cut them out, and sent them back to me. So I'm really excited to get these things on there. I've got to pull out. I've got a couple brand new pairs, so I can put them on a fresh set. But these are really cool. Just the simple fact that it's the nano self-healing surface. Like you just pour hot water on it, wipe it down, and all those light scuff marks and scratches completely disappear.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen this in anything else?
I just JB welded my Ray-Bans. I'm not kidding. I just did.
Oh, yeah.
About a week ago.
I don't doubt it. And that's why I buy cheap shades for the most part. But I just get so tired of swapping out these lenses and everything all the time, because literally they last 2 months at best before they're starting to get pretty bad. And this is both the tinted shades and clear lenses as I'm swapping them out and, you know, driving in both daytime and nighttime. And so what's really cool is that these come with a 7-year warranty against peeling, cracking, and yellowing. And really what caught my attention was they're actually making them for like race helmets and motorcycles, which is super helpful. Anyways, Cruz Armor, CRUZarmor.com for everything there if you're interested in it.
I definitely will take a look at that for sure.
Yeah, that one's really cool.
Sounds cool.
Well, I want to say thanks to everybody for supporting the 4x4 podcast. You can shop on Amazon there for everything under the sun. Just use our link, the4x4podcast.com/Amazon, and we'll get just a few cents there. We are proud members of the 4x4 Radio Network. You can find that at 4x4radio.com, and you'll see big playlists there with everything that you need related to off-roading, whether it's Land Rovers on the Center Steer podcast, Jeep Talk Show talking everything Jeep related, the Trail Chasers with Cody and Matt talking, I guess, Toyotas and Nissan Frontiers, that's a pretty popular one. And also On the Trail with Kevin and Scott. So I want to say thanks again to Artemis Overland Hardware for helping this show continue. Be sure to check them out at Artemis Overland Hardware on Facebook, Instagram, and of course, ArtemisOverland.com, and their new space there in Springfield, Missouri. If If you want to send us an email, you can contact us at the 4x4podcast at yahoo.com. We're on Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitters, and of course voicemail. You can send us a voicemail at 719-924-5337. No matter what time of day, just go ahead and give us a call. And we got the speak pipe, and of course, like we had on the last show, you can record a voice memo and send that right over to us. So thanks again, Matt, for joining us. I'm looking forward to seeing you down in Mexico here soon. But for now, it's time to hit the trails, so tread lightly, God bless, and stay safe while exploring your world.